Hello and welcome to another People Peeling Pages of Pulitzers while penciling in personal prophecies and pulling paperbacks from personal pastimes. Uncle Gary doesn't know how to read episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
Yeah, I'm Corey.
Not on the microphone, even close. He's not trying. Tom, who's here?
The man himself, the New York Times bestseller, Frank Bill. How are you?
What's up?
What's up, stud?
What's going on?
Been 366 days since I've seen you last. Doing okay?
Hanging in there. Yep.
Better than hanging out there. That's what I always say. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's nice too that we're in your hometown. We got to come out. We got to hang out and experience, a couple hours with you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I feel like that also makes the interview process so much better.
Oh, dude, I love the hangout, the kicking back. That's the downfall to doing the podcast.
I got a test run last night.
Yeah, we did do a catastrophic failure.
It's dry run.
Yeah, dry run, no ammo, all blanks.
Yeah, Brian fucked up. Second time's a charm.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking crush it this time, dude. I'm really pumped to see you, man. It's been a really good 2 days. We've been here Friday and now Saturday. Pretty sure I blacked out last night. I don't know if that's even worth mentioning, but just wanted to throw that out there.
I know we have a big day tomorrow. He asked me, he's like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not fucked up. I'm going to bed because we have a big day tomorrow. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and we have a big day tomorrow. And he's like, all right. And then I'm still awake laying there, but they're downstairs singing and playing guitar until 5 a.m. I'm like, go the fuck to sleep. You got a big day tomorrow. And it's he hit that point, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it really kind of skid road it up last night, so.
Yeah, sometimes you got
thus the headache. Frank, okay, so you were episode 124, 366 days ago that episode came out. I'm really pumped to be in your hometown, to meet the people you know. We've met a lot of great folks. Again, thank you, Thad, for letting us, A, do an interview with you and learn about construction, B, let us take your space up. That's where we're recording today.
And I think also for our listeners that maybe want a different type of interview of you, to go back to 124, because we're going to be we already know stuff from 124 that we're going to be elaborating.
We're going to have more fun, and I'm going to be less stressed out.
I wanted to ask real fast, though, is a book like a dividend? So they're still selling copies of the book, right?
Yeah, so they're still selling copies of all the books, yeah.
How does the performance go? I mean, obviously, if you write a banger like Back to the Dirt, I'm serious, dude. I'm that book is phenomenal. But when that book came out, I'm sure you saw. Obviously, you do your PR and all that stuff, and they push it, and your agent's helping you. But your sales are going to be peak at some point early, right? They're going to be high early on, right? I don't know how. I guess that's what I'm wondering. But what's the trending like? Are you seeing? Does it just eventually taper down and then stay here, or do you see a?
Well, the market's so much different from whenever I first started writing. It's just different. It's a lot more different because you got a lot of I don't know if you're allowed to say it, but you got a lot of wokeness within stuff.
Oh, dude, yeah, woke
go broke.
Woke is a fucking thing. It's happening.
So I was gonna say that have you ever done a second edition reprint? Is it contractual? You only 16,000 copies?
The first 2 books from the first contract I had, I know all those went into, I believe, 3rd and 4th printings, maybe further than that. It's a matter of looking.
And for folks that don't know, that was Sissy and
Crime of Southern Indiana and Donnybrook.
Or Donnybrook, sorry.
And then the Savage and Back to the Dirt were the next 2. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've done 3rd and 4th on both of those?
The first 2. I'm not for sure how many printings. I know the Crime of Southern Indiana within the first month or 2 went into a second printing.
Yeah.
And I know it's went beyond that. And I know the same with Donnybrook, but don't hold me to how many printings.
Is there ever going to hit a point where you release? So we got to go to your little home studio where you do most of your writing last night and experience that. And on the way out, there was a poster or a picture frame that had the different alternative book covers.
Right.
Do you ever think on a certain reprinting that you'll switch up a book cover?
I don't know. That's really up to the publisher to answer. Really, I don't like to do it. Well, I guess they would ask you about anniversary. They do ask you on cover art if you like stuff, but they've never mentioned doing an anniversary edition of crimes or anything like that. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. No, but I just wondered if there was like a trend. So you're saying there's really not like a trend with sales or like dividends that you're seeing of books that have been out for a while.
I get royalty checks every year. I'll say that if that's what you're asking.
Well, no, I mean like of how book sales are going.
I never really pay attention. Never really look.
Really? Okay. Interesting. I feel like
I just focus on writing the book and moving forward.
If Tom wrote a book, he would be all about the numbers. He would watch every book being sold. He's very weird like that. He's like a savant. You do that with the podcast. You're worried always about numbers.
I am.
Yeah. You look like you're thinking about something. Are you okay? Are you about to stroke out?
Yeah, no, I'm great. I'm trying not to go full-blown ADHD with 100 questions.
Okay, go ahead. Slow down.
Throw them.
I want to kill this death of the week before.
Yeah, get the death of the week out.
That's what you were doing. You were trying to find a segue into the death of the week. Jesus, Murphy. Okay, without further ado, you know how this goes. We're going to roll into this week's death of the week.
The death of the week.
Here we go. Can we pull up the actual article, please? Jesus, Murphy, what is going on here? Okay, here we go. And give me a little zoom action. This takes place in 2002. Peoria Journal Star, May 24th. Died doing something that he loved. He was flying a Tower Hobbies remote control airplane and lost sight of the model in the sun. The RC plane weighed nearly 7 pounds and had a wingspan of 4 to 5 feet. The plane impacted in the chest, causing significant damage to his heart and lung, singular. Was pronounced dead at the scene by local police department. The local police department. His flying club was very important to him, and the members of Southern Arizona Modelers Club were his best friends. He used to be a drag racer and then switched to operating airplanes because he thought it was safer. And then I think they go into his obituary, which this is kind of a bummer, but I want to make this note. He is survived by...
there was no wife, is your note.
Well, now I'm reading it a second time, and born July 2nd, 1941 in Peoria, Richard, and he married... So is he married? That's worded very strangely. Is he married to... And she survived. So he was married. Also survived by his mother... in Tucson, one daughter, Sherilyn Wallace Sussman, yada, yada, yada. This is going to...
that picture. You can see it real fast
really
on the size of this model plane.
Did you find the actual plane?
Yeah, it's in the text. From me to him.
Oh. There we go. Holy smoke show. Look at this damn... Double click it. Look at that smoke show.
5 to 6 feet in width.
Make it the whole screen, Corey. I want to take this. Hit that little green button. Yeah. Take that in, huh?
So that's what hit him in the chest.
Oh,
and that's why I made the point of it only hit one lung. But
God dang, dude! I haven't seen fucking God. You could. Oh.
Those come in various sizes, of course. But that's a 5 to 6 foot.
So this isn't the exact. This isn't the murder weapon.
No.
All right. Will you pull my text messages down, please? And stop fucking putting my entire personal life on blast. Just fucking red exit. Jesus, Murphy. Fucking Christ. My wife's sending me nudes and it's just on the podcast. Now I'm joking. All right, here we go. So let's unpack that. There's a lot to unpack. 4 to 5 foot wingspan. How does that thing fly? It's got to be gas powered, right?
It's all models, so it's just downside from full size specs.
But that's crazy. And then why are you flying east and west?
Yeah. And
why are you flying into the sun, bro? Fly north and south. I don't know. You got any thoughts on that?
No.
You know anybody that does any weird fucking model plane?
I don't hang out with any people who do that stuff.
It's not safe, I'll tell you
They have a
that.
model airplane hangar out in Evansville off 41. like on the way out to Terre Haute.
Is there? I'm sure there's a club then.
Yeah, I'm sure you have to pay a fee to use it or something.
Poor bastards. That's this week's Death of the Week. There we are. All right.
Awesome.
All you. You look disturbed. Are you okay? You're doing all right, Tom? You
doing great.
I feel like. Yeah, Frank. So let's
catch up.
Yeah, what's been going on?
Even though we've caught up, let's low key catch up the listeners. A lot's happened in the last year.
Yeah, you have gained, lost, etc. There's been a lot of changes going on. So what's happened in the last year, man?
I switched agents. Just felt like I needed a change.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a new agent working on a new book. We started to work on my screenwriting partner. I started working on kind of an outline for Back to the Dirt, but we had to put that on hold because I'm working on a new project. So other than that, just writing, working, and yeah.
So when you say a new agent for the
new book agent, I have a new book agent.
Some of our listeners out there want to be writers or authors of books. They want to get something put together and published. Like, you recommend getting an agent?
Yeah, I always recommend getting an agent. Yeah.
You were talking last night. There's like a agent agency.
Used to, man. This is because I've not had to deal with that for 13 years. There used to be a place online, I think it was called Agent Query, and you'd basically look through there and see, like, the way that you write, if it kind of fits into a certain genre or similar writers, you would kind of look up their agents or
so
look at
find like what niche.
Yeah, so you can kind of fit into that, and you would query them. They usually do like snail mail or email, and they'll like want sample pages and kind of either an outline or a synopsis of what your story's about or whatever it is you're working on. Yeah.
Okay.
And are they low key making like I don't want to talk money or anything, but like, are they making like an investment or like
they don't get paid till you get paid,
right? So they're believing in your product,
right? Yeah, that agent basically has contacts at a publishing house that knows the editors and knows what they're looking for,
as you are,
right? And they know what editors that think, I think this editor might be the person to try.
Stand by. What do you got going on?
We losing it again?
We never started the screen recording.
Doesn't matter. We have the screen.
Okay, sounds good. And we're back. Okay. But what's interesting is, don't worry, Frank. This is going to be flawless and beautiful.
Until it's not.
No, it will be. It will be. Or it'll be a fucking giant 4-foot wide airplane straight into your chest.
I'm just fucking with you.
One or the other. No, but so speaking of, so you're so many pages deep in this new book. We don't have to talk details if you don't want to. But what I'm curious about is,
I say we rewind it.
Okay, rewind.
But the process of getting a new book, you get an idea in your head of what you want it to be about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just write down maybe like a bullet point.
Notes, just constant notes. Figuring out whether it's a setting, character, and you just start developing things as they go along. Yeah.
And then from there, we got a little insight last night. If you want to pull up the other picture of the wall, I didn't take a picture of all the books you had listed. But Brian was like, I walked in, I thought, man, this guy's just got an elaborate library. But like, you were like, no, these are just the books in here for this new book I'm writing.
Right. Yeah.
And there was, how many books do you think were in there?
I counted at least 30.
I'd say 30 or 40.
Yeah, 30
probably.
or 40.
Yeah.
And like all tabbed up, all bookmarked. I feel like that's one thing that like some of these people, they just buy books and they don't realize all the...
What and what are we looking at here?
This is for the new, like, like storyboard, right?
And you're using these as like... visual references,
right? Visual references, because some of the story opens up. It's down in Texas, and it deals with it's basically what's going on right now, what's going on the border. Because I've got different characters for different things, but it also deals with these different crime organizations and the histories of all of them and how they all kind of intersect that people don't think about. And when we dig back into history, and there's also flashbacks during COVID, because actually when I was starting to come up with the idea and write it was during COVID, and then I got the Norman Reedus thing and I had to set everything off to the side. And then whenever I finally sat back down to start writing, that's kind of the book I came back to.
Did you, when you got the idea, or any of these pictures on the wall, like one of the, like, you got the idea and looked at, like, for pictures for, like, inspiration to start even piecing together where you wanted to go?
What do you mean, like some of the first? Those were all pretty much me going through what I wanted to look at one night, and I just pulled all of them up, just digging through the internet, and then I ended up just sending them off and getting them developed.
You're like, how can I piece all these pieces
Yeah, because
together?
I knew, I mean, a lot of it came from me growing up studying martial arts, me watching Hong Kong films from as a kid, and then when I got older, Jackie Chan, Chow Yun-fat, all these different guys that I just grew up watching, and then all the guys that Jackie studied with, and where, I mean, I just know the history of so many of those things, because the Hong Kong action films are great. Michelle Yeoh, like, what she does in America, it really sucks. If you look back at what she did in China, it's fucking amazing. That's the problem, like, even when Jackie Chan came here, the stuff he does, I don't really care for what he's done over here. Because when he was overseas, it was just so much more raw. Even Michelle Yeoh stuff. You know, if you ever watching the Line of Duty, the whole series that she made, the Super Cop, and she did the Wing Chun movie, because that's what it was. You know, it was based upon the female who like originated the style of Wing Chun, and then of course the monks take it over to train somebody to fight quicker. Is what it was all about. But they've done so much. Even Donnie Yen, you know, he's getting to be big now, but he was huge in China before, and he was just, his movies were so much better overseas. That's just my opinion, but you know, it's not all watered down. Jet Li, he's another one. I mean, he's same thing.
Is that the one that Jet Li got shot, right, on The Crow? Or is that, no, is that
No, it was
Bruce Lee?
Brandon Lee.
No,
They don't, there's no affiliation.
There's not?
Between Jet Li and Brandon Lee.
Oh, yeah,
or Bruce Lee,
sorry, yeah.
Brandon, son, yeah.
Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee.
Right.
Sorry. I'm fucking way off base here.
I was going to say, do you set, like, so, like, we know you're in the process of writing the book. Some, like, when you go to write a book, like, there's got to be some research, some actual writing.
Right. This is probably the first book where I've actually had to sit down and do a lot of reading, because, you know, my first 4 books, even my 5th book that I did with Norman Reedus, I basically relied a lot upon myself and history and things that I'd done. Even all the stories and crimes are pretty much pulled from just like family.
Fictitious.
Yeah.
Well, when you write, like, so like when you're writing about the cartel, do you pull out like a specific set of notes that you already researched to like reference on the cartel close by, and then like you close that one when you pull out the stuff about the Yakuza?
No, actually, as I read along, I mean, I kind of know what I want to do, so I just need to research that, and I take notes on the things I know I'm going to pull from that, and that's what the tabs are for. And then I notes
specifics.
Yeah.
So one thing that I did want to mention that I was shocked by, and thank you again for inviting us into your home. That was
fine.
amazing. Yeah. It was very awesome to see. I was shocked. I was imagining, like, because you said you had all these pictures, and I was imagining like a fucking like CSI fucking
connecting the dots,
yarn board or something.
Well, I did the same.
Know what I mean?
When I wrote The Ravage, I did the same thing, because I had, you know, parts of that I pulled for myself, but then there was other parts when I'm getting a hold of Norman and have to pull things for the guy who's the motorcycle dude that's in the book is kind of based on him. Yeah. And then there's another character that he had came up with that I had to develop, and it took place in South America, so I had to do all this research from South America over him to come back to the United States, and I had to know about the country he was in and how he got there, what the culture was like and things of that nature. And it was a very similar storyboard, just from place to place.
That's it's pretty awesome. Like, I really did. I wondered what it was gonna look like. How you imagine this, like how you're using the visual cues. I didn't even know that you used that many visual cues. Like, I mean, but it makes sense in your writing because you're very.
I did a lot the same with Back to the Dirt. I had most of the pictures were from. I already knew where I wanted to setting, so I'd go back and travel to them throughout Harrison County, take pictures, put them up, and then I had a lot of photos from when my dad was in the service, because he took a shitload of pictures when he was over there.
Yeah, and you've showed us a bunch of those, I believe.
Do you have any, like, behind the scenes of, like, that? Like, wouldn't it be cool to look on, like, a montage of, like, if you started with the photos, here's the bottom of the pyramid, and then from the photos you went to these books, and then it was like the books, and then from there, like, it'd be almost cool to see like the process of it into the actual book.
Oh, like if you were explaining to somebody like this
Like
is
a highlight reel for yourself. Not
Right.
You don't even have to
Yeah.
post it or whatever, but I think that'd be a cool little process.
What I always do is put everything in a box when it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have boxes for all your other
Everything
books?
except the Ravaged. It's
Really?
it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, bummer, dude. And
Not really. I'm sure the person who has it's pretty happy. So.
who
Collectors,
has it?
fans, right?
Huh?
Did you get it to a fan or a collector? Or,
Yeah.
Oh, really? No
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Shout out to that guy. Lucky person. Guy or gal. That's awesome. And then what do you think so far? And again, we don't have to give away too much about the new book. I think you said you're several pages. You have like 2 or 3 pages written, right?
2 or 3. He's got
150.
Yeah.
The first 100 pages I sent to my new agent, and all he
But
said
what
was,
is that?
"Wow."
What does that look like as far as like you don't have any? It's not paid for yet. It's not bought. Like
No,
somebody hasn't read
no.
those pages and they're like, "We're in."
What we'll end up doing is submitting whenever I have a. Well, I don't have to finish it. You can still try to sell it off of your sample pages. It's got to be good and tight, And I already have a synopsis for it. So, yeah.
Okay, but that's not happened yet. It's not been bought yet.
No. We've just been. He just told me when I was ready because I told him I wanted more than 100 pages because he was happy with the first 100 pages I sent him.
Nice.
Told him I wanted to.
I'm so jacked. And you don't have like a timeline. I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday.
You do have
no
to give
way.
it. If somebody buys it, you do have to have a timeline.
Have you been in that situation before with any of your other books?
Yeah,
like you turned
they
in your
always wanna
sample
know.
and then they
Yeah.
bought it and
Yeah,
they said, "Hey, you have
Yeah.
15 months.
Yeah.
Figure it out."
Yep.
Which ones, or were they all
Both
like,
the first 2 books and the second 2.
really?
Yeah.
So
now, like with Back to the Dirt, should have been out way long ago. But there was things that came up at the agency. I think they were moving around. My editor got busy. At the Donnybrook film, when it got bought, I got busy with that. There was all these different things, and we were getting ready to start working on edits for Back to the Dirt right when COVID hit, and it threw it off even more. So, yeah.
What do you do when you're writing a book like the one you're working on? You don't even have a name for it yet, do you?
The Pugilist.
One more time.
The Pugilist.
The Pugilist?
Yeah.
So, like, what do you do when you're writing The Pugilist and then, like, you get another idea for a book? Do you just write it down?
Well,
Or,
I was
like-
working on 2 books at once, actually. I was working on The Pugilist, and I had another book about basically from a detective that I was working with that's retired, that he had pursued this crime family back in the early 2000s, late 90s. And I basically took the entire caseload from him working it because that family never got. They got away with everything they were doing.
When you meet with these people, do you take physical notes? Do you take audio notes?
With
as
him,
well?
I had lots of pictures because I had all his case file pictures. I had anything he had left from the case that kind of outlined all the different things they were going through that led up through the case. And then I had all of our sit-down recordings, which is probably, 10 or 20 hours of us talking. It's still on my phone, actually. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
I just imagine the whole process.
I had like 100 rough pages, and whenever I went back, because I couldn't decide if I wanted to do fiction or nonfiction, I just decided to do fiction because I can't actually go back and talk to the actual family because they're still in existence, and I don't think it would be real healthy to talk to them.
Right.
So if being able to take the fictional world, I could go ahead and pretty much develop what the other side looked like because they're working class criminals, what they were.
So did you ever like during Back to the Dirt was probably a good example, but like did you ever do a lot of, God bless you, finally, did you ever do any like interviews have you done interviews for like a book, and then like did you have to record that interview like audibly like you would almost like a podcast, I guess? I don't know. Like, I'm wondering, have you ever used that as a tool in your writing? Like sitting down and interviewing somebody for information that you need for a book?
Yeah.
And I know your father, obviously, but like...
Yeah, I
maybe in
interviewed
another
my dad
instance.
several times for Back to the Dirt, and then even afterwards I had interviewed him about how he actually got what he actually went through, the event that caused him to get hurt, and then what he would eventually get a Purple Heart for. And then I interviewed one of the other guys that was there that day and was with my dad when they were sweeping for mines on the road, and he was talking about, he gave me his side of the story because he was in front of my dad. My dad was behind him, and the guy that died was in between them. And when the one guy, because his buddy, Tony, actually stepped on the landmine and kept going, the guy behind them stepped on it wasn't so lucky. And all they found of him was his leg.
He just ate it.
And it blew my dad like 20 feet back in the air. When they found my dad didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Oh, of course. You have zero, right? Something
Ears
loud.
bleeding.
Yeah.
He had a cut on his lip. And
So one question, and just speaking of like the Vietnam Back to the Dirt stuff, now that we're talking about Dad, I'm trying to not be ADD about it, but you have a scene about cannibals in Back to the Dirt whenever he's having a flashback. I think I've asked you this before and I can't remember your answer. That's not real, is it? There's no way that's
more of my infatuation. Right. That's a kind of a two-part thing. I was a big fan of the old Vietnam movies.
Yeah, and they do that. They've done that in like
But there's also a book that I read called Tiger Force that's based on the facts of kind of what like what one of those movies kind of came from. About a group of guys that actually were a special forces unit, and I believe they were attached to the Air Force. It was an Air Force's special forces unit. And anyway, they started to do these search and destroy missions, but those guys, it started to become where they would just get made special forces out in the field. There was no, their training was going to be, you're getting trained right now as we're going on these missions. And some of those guys started to, rather than hunt the enemy, they started just killing innocent villagers and stuff. And it became a wild paradox.
I'm telling you, you guys are really, if you're confused about why I'm asking about cannibals, you gotta read Back to the Dirt. It's so fun.
Well, and so like
Apocalypse Now. That's kind of what, but that's kind of what
like the French Riviera of people that are living off the grid, and there's like civilians there, and then there's people that have like.
Because I mean, I grew up in that whole entire era, those kind of movies, and Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, all of those.
Was Sheen. That was Sheen in Apocalypse Now. Charlie.
Yep.
No.
Martin Sheen.
The dad. Yeah. Martin Sheen.
Martin. And Charlie was in Platoon.
So like, you got to have a photographic memory to a degree. It's like in my head when you're writing this book, but you're seeing it in your head like a movie. And you're describing the scenes and scenarios and all that. What was it like when you just got a book made into a film and like having to see it maybe portrayed in a different way than like what you saw when you were writing the book?
It was interesting because, like we were joking around earlier, it's like everybody gets in a hurry to wait, and you're basically in a tent watching a scene. I mean, you can stand out there and watch it, but because you've got the people as it's filming, you're in there with the producer watching stuff, and really. The producer has more credit than anybody because he's actually watching things get filmed. He's watching things get set up. And as soon as he sees something he doesn't like, he's cussing and he's like, fucking cut. And he's running out of the tent out there and he's telling the director like, hey, what the fuck, I want this done. Why are you doing it that way? And it was really interesting to see that. Yeah. A simple thing that happened. We're all sitting here. They got everything together for when the Jarhead Earl's getting ready to go into the cage to fight for Donnybrook. And we're in the tent watching the filming, and everything looks good. The producer's like, yeah, this is all great. And they're going to open the cage door. Well, he happens to notice in the shot, somebody's got a forklift back in the back. He's like, what the fuck is it? Cut! I was like, what's he talking about? He's like, there's a fucking tow motor out here. He's like, what? I was like, holy shit, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, Jesus, Murphy. I bet. So, like, it's probably neat being, like you were saying, watching the process, but when you see the final product, are you ever, like, not let down, because obviously you're pumped that it was even made, but, like... Sure. But, like, is it weird that it's not exactly how you, like, imagined...
Well, I wrote the book. They wrote the film. That doesn't mean I have to like the film. I mean, I thought they did a fairly decent job. They had some good actors,
Yeah.
How hard is it to press pause on that mental image when you're writing the book? 'Cause, like, you got a scene in your head and you're viewing it in your head and writing it down. Then you got to pause it and you got to go to your job.
I come back to it. I just take it with me. I take my computer with me to work all the time, and I take notes all the time at work.
Really?
Yeah, I listen to podcasts all night and do my job and take notes. Yeah,
that's wild. Oh my! And yeah, again, for people that don't know, you're a 9 to 5 guy. You work night shift.
6 to 6, actually.
Yeah, 6 to 6. Yeah, yeah, not 9 to 5, but yeah, you work 4 or 5 days a week.
4 one day and 3 the next. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just wild that you're putting in these 40 plus hours a week at this job, and then also you're as successful as you are.
I can't imagine the amount of time that you're invested in reading 35 books to write one book outside of a normal job. Just the amount of time that takes in general, just to read them and highlight and all that, yet alone to merge everything that you've learned into a completely different piece of work.
Well, the thing is too, once you get things down on the page, and you go back to revise, things get switched around even more because you're tightening things up, and it also breaks some other things loose to create an even bigger scope.
Do you have like a Word document for the book, and then a Word document of just like paragraphs or ideas for the book, and then you drag them in and expand on them?
No, but sometimes I'll have a piece that it just doesn't fit, so I'll cut it and paste it and put on another file, and then hopefully I can use it later, because sometimes that does happen.
Tom, you had a good point. Like the 35 books or 40 books, whatever it is, you may have stacked up for this new book you're working on. Do you ever like get to a point in your research where you're like, because that's a lot of books. Do you ever just like, okay, I'm writing about the Yakuza in this chapter, I need to know X, Y, Z. Do you like, when you go get the book that you're going to use for a reference, can you hunt down and segregate the material out of that book that you need, as opposed to just reading the entire book? Or are you reading the front to back, cover to cover for all 30 to 40 of those books?
Yeah, I'll read front to back. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But that's
you're
also
a psychopath.
But that's also why you have the tabs. I put a note on each tab.
I didn't know if you were like able to like Google, like
just pull a few things out.
I need this book.
Well, I do Google things
Where
too.
do they
That's what the
talk about
binder.
it
That's
in
what the
this
binder's for. I've got stuff I've pulled off a line.
Yeah, and I can't even. We should have taken more pictures, but I was just thankful to even be in your office.
How many books do you read a year?
I have no idea. I don't ever count.
I'm not hitting 50 this year, I promise you.
Yeah, Cat Williams is blowing you out the water.
I might have already read 50
There's
this
no
year.
way.
I don't know.
Yeah. What are you at now? You've read a dozen this year already, right?
Well, yeah, like 30.
I have no idea. I've read quite a few.
He
At least
blacks
probably
out and starts reading
20 or 30 books, probably. Yeah.
Who are you? Speaking of like what you're reading. Okay, so let's get away from the new book, right?
Yeah. So like, there's an author. I'm blanking on his name. I still couldn't find it after I spent like probably 30 minutes earlier Googling it. But there was a writer that would write, so like he wanted a specific style of writing, so he would rewrite the book of Revelation 4 times, like type it out word for word.
That was Hemingway.
And then would go into writing the book that he was writing, and using his own thoughts, but it would be kind of that format. Do you find yourself doing anything like that?
No, but as a writer, that's kind of how a writer develops their style. Is they kind of, if you read a writer that you like over and over again, it does start to become part of your lingo.
The crazy part about
it's like if you go to another country and hang out with people, you end up starting to pick up their vernacular, or the way that they speak. I mean, I was in France for like a week or a little bit more, and I noticed I was starting to like have this French slur to my English because everybody else, the way they speak English over there. And I was like, I had to keep catching myself because I'm like, they're going to think I'm making fun of them, but I'm not. It's because I've been hanging around you guys every fucking day.
God,
dude.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Fit in.
No, and like cultural things too. Like you start picking up like cultural things as well.
But like we were talking about, that's what Hemingway did. That's what
Hemingway was the one that rewrote Revelations, right?
I don't know if he did Revelations, and
I
then
think it was him. He would just
Hunter S. Thompson was the other one. He would pick. He was a big Hemingway fan, so he would just pick his book up. And back then, he just had a typewriter, wasn't a computer. He just started typing out Hemingway's book, until he could figure out, because it helped him understand rhythm, sentence structure,
cadence.
Yeah, beginning, end, middle, all those kinds of things. So
that's wild, man. Hunter S. Thompson, rest in peace.
Who are some of your favorite authors?
Gosh, there's a lot. Chuck Palahniuk, Jim Thompson, Larry Brown's probably my favorite writer. He's from Mississippi. He's passed away back in 2004. Night before Thanksgiving, he actually passed away. Tom Franklin. There's a William Gay who's passed away also. He was from Tennessee. I like mainly a lot of Southern writers. Just because that's kind of how I've always identified, as far not as a Southerner, but it's just the things that they've done as far as
that Charles guy you turned me on to.
Charles Bowden. He's another one of my
Murder
favorite.
City. Yeah. Charles Bowden is was
Charles Bowden.
He passed away.
And Charlie LaDuff, who's still alive. Charlie's really good.
Just grotesque, dude. Like, it's Murder City. It's at the house. If you ever
He's like a poet. I mean, just a paragraph is it's like he slaved over that to get it. I don't know how. It's just poetic, brutal, and just like, damn, it just.
Are you weird about choosing words, adjectives, verbs, pronouns, or not pronouns? I guess. Yes.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You get it.
When you write, you want somebody to like. I always say you want them to feel it, taste it. You know.
Yeah.
You want them to be like, oh, yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know?
And to get your point across
Exactly.
keenly, like not to
visceral is what I've always been told. You write very visceral.
So since you write so viscerally, do you write the book and then you go back through and reread it and be like, oh, I could probably use a better.
I usually do that as I'm writing, you know, because you'll know when you write like a shitty sentence.
So when you're writing, do you go back through and read the last 25 pages and then write page X26 or?
When I'm writing, I constantly revise. Like when I sit down to write at night, a lot of times I'll start in the very beginning and skim through those first 100 pages again and then work back into the last 2 or 3 sections that I've been working on. And then that helps push on to the next couple of sections. And I've always got notes taken down for what I'm wanting the next couple of sections to look like.
You ever grab the wrong notebook when you leave the house?
No.
All the other stuff separate?
No.
be pissed. Just ruin your night.
Dude, there's like a funny little trend right now going on of like all the stuff videographers or producers forget at their house.
Oh God.
It's like a little video of them packing like up and everything, and then it's like.
Could you imagine if we'd have forgot something on our way over here to record this podcast?
Yeah, you would have probably killed yourself in the car.
Like the laptop?
I would have just thrown myself out of the car at 70 miles an hour.
He would have. It does not handle the slightest inconvenience that well.
Nope, don't like it, don't care for it. But hey, look, we're up and running somehow. No, I'm pretty pumped, man. And I only asked because I'm just now getting into writing with my buddy Pete. We were talking about wording the other night, and like I'm working on a punchline, right? And I'm trying to find this punchline, and I'm like, I need like 3 words, and one's a verb, one's an adjective, and the other's a noun. And I'm just trying to tie up this fucking joke. And he was like, well, it's all about picking the right word, and it needs to have music to it. And the way he was describing it, because he writes fiction as well. He's not like, I don't think he's published. I don't think Pete's published. But he loves writing fiction. And he just, like, what do you say to that? Like, I mean, are you like, you're slaving over these specific words, but like, what's the trick to finding the right word? Or is it scene specific? Is it depending on what you're trying to say? Or
I don't think there's a trick. It's just, it's something you'll feel in your gut.
Right.
You know when you read it and it's like, that's a good sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. I'm not a wordsmith. I don't get it.
Do you ever play mental games like how I always joke around with like my wordplay or like
It's fucking annoying.
or just like do you ever do mental like gymnastics with yourself like that to kind of keep things sharp?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, just write.
You just have what you have, and
Yeah.
Well, I feel like writing in itself is a practice.
Audiobooks too. If you have a favorite, like if you've read a book that you really like a lot, buy the audiobook and listen to it over
That
and
should
over.
be a thing. See if I can listen to more books this year than you read.
Yeah, that's so dumb. I hate that. So I respect the audiobook game. I really, really do. But if I have to hear one more person brag about how many books they read and it was all fucking audiobooks,
yeah.
I'll punch you in your stupid ears. I'll punch you in both of your ears. I don't give a shit. Stop bragging about it. It doesn't count.
I listened to an audiobook twice, and if I like it, I get the hard copy, and then I start highlighting and marking up the hard copy before I...
Was we interviewed a guy who does social media.
Oh, 2 times speed.
Yeah, he would do audiobooks and all his podcasts on 200% speed. He would finish a Hemingway book in
He's the Cat Williams of audio.
Yeah,
online.
just wigging the fuck out, just like he's like the Beethoven of audiobooks. He was just like in and out of a damn Hemingway book in a day.
No time.
Yeah, no time. 500-page just Bible done. On the next,
I listen to it at normal speed.
I can't.
I want to enjoy it.
I'm like, dude, why are people out here bragging about it? I'm just like, I'd rather have the tangible thing in my hand.
Murder City is kind of hard to listen to because it's Charles reading it, and you have to have an acquired taste for his voice.
Yeah, it's like an IPA.
It's such an interesting.
He's different.
It's weird now though, because like you write a book. Do they approach you about an audiobook, or do you approach?
They
them?
did on the first 2, and I wasn't interested. I mean, it wasn't. It's a lot. I've had fans where they're like, "Why don't you? We like your voice." And I'm like, whatever. I don't really want to you don't get paid any extra money or anything for it. So,
Right.
let somebody that's a professional do it.
Wait, so if you do an audiobook, you're not making...
He's saying there's no difference in if he were to do it himself or versus
Right, they're not going to
okay.
pay me to write it. They'll pay for the audio rights, of course, to your publisher, but they're not going to pay you to do it.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. But you do make money off of the audiobooks.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I was just making
yeah.
sure. I was like getting a little confused. And all your books are audio. You have everything that is published in audiobook form.
Yeah.
I'm really confused by the audiobooks. I don't know how I feel about it. I just rather have the damn thing in my hand because I'm a big note guy, like you. Like,
Right.
Especially if it's something like Chaos by Tom O'Neill. God damn it! If I didn't have margins to write in, have you read Chaos by Tom O'Neill?
No.
Fucking in bonkers, dude. Bonkers, front to back.
It's about like Charles Manson.
Charles Manson, MK Ultra. He's got a second book he's dropping because he ran out. They stopped him. They said you have to stop writing at 500. No, they said 400 pages, and he had to get a lawyer to get 500 for his. He needed like 80 pages for references.
Okay.
He has 80 pages of references in the back of this book, so it's a 420 page fucking. It's a masterpiece, but it is hard to hold on to. So it's like I had to make notes, sticky notes, like just so I could keep up. You get 3 chapters in, you're like, who's this fucking Barbara lady? And you're like, oh yeah, fucking she was on heroin in a ditch somewhere. And like now you got to flip back. It's just, but a really great book. But yeah, I just prefer to have that in my hands. I don't know. It's strange. What do you so what are you reading now? Are you reading something currently that's not for your book? That's you're not into anything right now?
I'm reading just
Are
nonfiction.
you looking forward to anything coming up? That anyone's like, do you know anybody that's working on stuff that's about to drop, or
Haven't been paying attention.
really you're just honed in on this
Yeah.
on this new one?
Yeah. I think Michael Ferris Smith, he's from Mississippi. I think he's got I saw he has a manuscript, so he posted a picture of it. I like all of his books. So
So it's safe to say you're probably like hyper focused in on this book right now.
yeah.
What do you do to stay there, or is it just innate for you, like to focus in? Obviously, we both have ADD, so it's hard to focus on fucking anything.
It's a passion project, so I'm just
You don't have to do anything to like will your way into
No.
like today.
No.
I'm writing 8 hours, no matter what.
no.
You don't have
No.
to. It just happens.
Right.
It's very and so for people that don't know, you're physically active. You work
Yeah.
out a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's that same kind of
It's just discipline.
will? Yeah,
it's
or
just
discipline?
like that I was talking about earlier. I make a list every night. I have another notebook. It's a journal, and that's where I date it, what I'm going to do the next day, what time I'm getting to bed, what time I'm getting up, what time I'm working out,
That's one thing I wish I did.
write, walk, whatever, lift weights, walk the dog.
you and Thad both.
Well, not only
Whatever else I've got to do. When we
Daily
got things to do in the
plans.
house, we're going to the grocery, and I just write everything in there that I need to do that day.
That's crazy. I'm the opposite. I want to be as free and loose and available as possible. That's probably my biggest hinder. That I'm trash.
I've always been that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think the world coming into a new age, I would say, of like artificial intelligence and stuff like that, does that worry you as a writer?
No.
Would
doesn't
you
bother
use
me.
it as
I
a
do
tool?
know my first book was part of was it like 150 or 300 books that AI had picked up
Really?
to study? Yeah.
That's exciting. I mean, like that's like an
Well,
accomplishment,
I know a lot of people were like, some of the publishers were pissed off. I think there was lawsuits or something involved with that, but I don't know.
So
Because they're trying to pick. What it is that you've got a different style of writing, and so AI wants to try and pick up on that.
But it's cool to be like one of the front runners of different styles.
And you said picked up by
There was I don't know. Did you follow? You're into AI stuff. Did you follow that? There was a big thing online
I
last
wasn't
year.
necessarily.
And there was like 300 books, I think is what it was. And a lot of people were pissed off about it. Some of the authors were like, hey, why is AI picking my book? Because the AI program was wanting to pick up those books and understand how those authors, it's like how they write. Because they want to,
I just feel like there's bittersweet aspects to it. One, the book's in the library, right? So it's
Yeah.
public in my mind. So
they
like I
still
don't
have to pay for it if it's in the library.
you're paying a membership or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
and you're
But
only
what's
renting
to say that
Yeah.
somebody didn't get AI its own little library card or whatever. Or listen to audio book. Like I'm sure they had to get a physical copy somehow.
PDF. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like my thing is, I think there's going to be certain aspects that are going to be helpful of it. So like in the future, just like your journal thing, like you said, you like to write a journal or whatever. I'm bad at writing. My handwriting sucks. Half the time I come back, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. In the future, AI will be able to take video, and now they're being able to break down video. And like, but I could do a journal in that way, and then I'd be like, how was I feeling on this day? And it would like pull up a pilot's log or some shit like that.
I think the thing with AI though is it's going to be hard for AI to duplicate someone's creativity.
Yeah, I think that.
And what I mean by that is like if you were a schooled MFA writer, because they have a certain way that they write sentence structures, AI can pick up on that because it's more correct. Grammatically, whereas when I write, I'm not a schooled writer. I picked up writing from reading a book and teaching myself how to write by rhythm. It's not going to be able to pick up that same nuance that I have, no matter what it does. And it's the same way with people who paint anything.
AI is only as good as people that push buttons.
It's exactly.
You still got to have the man.
You can't. There's certain things you just can't duplicate. Right. You know.
Yeah, you've been using it to like spice up social media posts and stuff, which I think that's a pretty.
Yeah, I write the general outline for it or whatever.
And then submit it and say, hey, make this better.
Or if I have a general, like if say it's a professional email, right? And I'm like, I'll be like, write me a professional email about X, Y, and Z. And then like it'll do that. And that gives me the bones. And then I go in and I add the fat, trim away some bone that's not needed. Yeah. And go from there. But I'm not a good writer, so it's just basically like Mad Libs for me, or something along those lines.
And then the other thing, it makes you think. We talked about it earlier. It makes you think less. I don't need to go out and do research for me because I'm not really learning. But there's
certain aspects of it that like are improving. Like now, a podcast takes an hour and a half to edit versus 8 hours.
Oh God, yeah. It is beneficial in ways, but like with working out. If you don't run for 6 months, you're going to lose 3 or 4 minutes on your mile time. You know what I mean? Like you're going to slow way the fuck down, and then you're going to have to get back at it. Or like I was talking to a buddy of mine at work, this older cat. He's like, he should have retired. I think he's like 64, 65. He's like there, but he just wants to keep working. Anyways, we were talking about something, and he was like, well, just plug it into this computer system, and it does all the work for you. And I was like, yeah, but like you need to know how to do it manually. You know what I mean? Like you need to do that. And he was like, well, why? As the computer does it for me. I was like, well, if the fucking computer crashes, you need to know how to do math. You know, like that's the whole fucking point.
I know.
Dude, like you go to a fast food restaurant and their power's out, and somebody has to do sales tax on a calculator.
Jesus Christ, people can't handle 2 decimal points. They lose their shit. It's like, what the fuck are we doing as a community that you guys can't figure out the fucking hundreds place?
It can make you dumber. That's for sure.
And that's what we have. We already have a society of people that are just like dragging their knuckles, and it's like the AI. I feel like is only going to make it more of a crutch.
There's different things in the publishing industry that people are like. Some writers now, like whenever they get a contract for a new book, they don't want AI to do artwork.
But so
they want an actual artist to do the artwork.
One upside of AI that I think
that's in their contract because they want they want a real live editor to edit the book. They don't want AI editing the book. There's all kinds of little things that that people are going to start pushing.
One of the cool points though is you've done enough interviews, or even like you literally only need an X amount of time of actual interviews or recorded voice of yourself talking, and they could take that, so they could make an AI version of you reading your book even though you didn't read it, and it'd be flawless.
Right.
And like you said, you got a group of people that have that niche that want to hear your voice. I would love to listen to Back to the Dirt read by Frank Bill, but not Frank Bill.
And who read that one? I can't remember. Who did you have read that one?
His last name's Coffee.
Coffee, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember that fella. I don't think I've listened to it though. I don't think I have.
I listened to it. It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Some of the stuff, it's like...
Shout out to Coffee.
Like, I'm a
Mr.
big...
Coffee.
Like, audio is my weird itch. Like, I can't do nails being filed, ice out of the thing. Work will have, like, you got to listen to these courses, and the audio engineering is garbage, and I have to just mute it and read subtitles. Like, it's got to be... And, like, I was able to... Back to the Dirt was done good, audio-wise. Versus, like, some of them, like, they're done, like... I always love the author read ones just slightly better. I feel like they got a little bit more punch to them.
I'm trying to think who's a good author audiobook that I've heard that I really liked. because I think I listened to Charles Bowden a little bit for Murder City, and I don't.
But
think
some of them are bad too. But like you said, you just don't want to deal with the process of it. Of like, hey, you got to read this page again. Oh, you coughed here. You gotta. And Duncan Trussell's newest book, or Duncan Russell, who's the Rogan's guy with the puppet? That
Duncan Trussell. Yeah.
Duncan Trussell, right?
Yeah.
Duncan
So like
Trussell,
in his newest book, the audio version, you can hear Discord go off in the background on somebody's laptop 15 seconds into the sample, dog. And I was like, yo, I'm not getting this book. If I can hear Discord notification in the background, probably
you ought to get, I'll tell you, because her writing is hard for some people to read, but whenever she reads it, which I've read her first book and loved it, it's just different it's just different. But when she reads it, it's like, holy shit, she gets the vernacular and everything. It's Ashley Irwin.
Ashley Irwin.
Yeah, you should pull her up and listen to her read, because it's got that Southern Kentucky vernacular that she's writing about from way down in like Hazard, Kentucky, and
what's
she
a
just
good one
nails
that she's
it.
written?
Her newest one. Actually, I think it's the only published book she has so far, and I then forgot the name of it.
But so what's cool about this is like,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Damn it.
That's okay.
how many other authors did you get to meet through this process? Like after becoming a New York Times bestseller, how many more
I had
authors?
already met authors, but just going to different events. You know, I went to a few voucher cons and then done panels with people.
So you just kind of find people that write in your niche or that you like their work.
They can. Well, when you do these different, I don't know, like a trade show or anything, but like the voucher cons or the book festivals, they put you on panels together with people who are kind of similar.
That. What's a panel? I don't understand what's happening.
Basically, you get a couple of writers that have similar styles or whatever their books. They just they're very like Southern writers or crime or whatever, and they kind of put you together like 3 or 4 people, and then you have a moderator who's going to come up with questions that pertains, kind of like your podcast, pertains to the book, whether it's about meth or about different types of crime, car theft,
like
whatever,
AA
fighting. Yeah, and then you have an audience there that listens to it, and then afterwards they take questions from the audience. You know, they'll ask you questions. Yeah.
Well, how much
Blood,
trust
Guts, and
is
Grit, I
that?
think
Like,
is
are
what
you
it is.
sending sample? Are you sending sample works to like other authors? And like, if so, do you have to have like copy written, or is it just trust that like, hey, here's my book idea? Or
That's
like,
not a bad question. Are you and other authors,
or like to your publicist, or your?
you guys trade material as like? Do you have an author buddy that you're like super tight with, that you talk all the time with?
I have a few authors I'm friends with, but
But
yeah,
like,
we
are you
don't-
guys trading material? Like,
Not really.
hey, will you read this chapter and
No.
see what you think? Okay,
Or what about when you're like you said, you sent like the first 100 pages around? Like, is there protection on your end that you can do to make sure that like your idea is not?
Grit, Black Blood. There you go.
Grit, Black Blood.
Yeah, Ashley Irwin.
I'm just jotting that down so I don't forget it.
Trading idea. I don't really trade any ideas with people. I mean, everybody kind of has their own thing. They probably don't want to trade ideas with each other. Afraid somebody will steal their idea. Maybe
It'd be weird, like how comedians workshop jokes authors can't really do.
And that's and relating. So again, I'm slowly getting into this writing of comedy thing, and I'm not very good at it. But
Takes time.
I just want to do it, just
Right.
to try it. So getting into that though, it makes me think about like, so a lot of a few of my comedian friends I've talked to, they'll actually, when they're building new stuff or new material, they'll stay away from watching other comedians for like a while, at least like famous comedians. They just like kind of cut it out of their diet because they're too afraid to be influenced by
Right. Yeah.
So do you find that, is it kind of like that with writing, or do you? Or
I think
do
you need
almost-
I think you need the influence in the beginning, but then once you get your style, your voice down, you kind of you've developed your own influence, so you really don't have to worry so much about
Well, I was
it.
gonna say, is there a point? So like for the this book, like you're probably watching documentaries as well on these different areas and stuff. Is there a point where like you only like hone in and focus on those, or do you allow like just like a regular TV show or so to slip in, or do you only allow yourself?
Oh, we'll watch regular television. Yeah, my wife and I still watch whatever.
Yeah, I think my wife is watching Orange is the New Black. Just know that, you know.
Sure.
I don't know, man. So when you're starting a new project like this, the future, how do you say it? Pugilist.
The pugilist, yeah.
Pugilist.
Yeah.
Can I ask what that word means?
Well, it's pugilism. It's back feudal times. That's what you had.
God damn, I'm dumb. I don't know what that means.
So you ever play? You never.
God damn, I'm
he
dumb.
done like strategy games. and It's
Feudal.
like the feudal age, correct?
Yeah,
Like
it's
like
between
before
societies
medieval.
that would fight. It's feudalism.
Like tribalism.
Yeah.
Okay, I can take that. Okay.
Would you like
I'm
a?
tracking.
Would you
Yeah,
would you like a
5-year-old
better
with a lemonade
definition?
stand,
It's
you get a
basically it deals with
quarter.
fighting.
Pretty
You're-
dumb.
You're not.
just for the record. But
That's
so
how you
for-
would solve things with sticks, stones, swords, knives.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
speed. So that being said, when you started working on the Pugilist, you didn't, before you wrote anything and before you did any research, as you were coming up with the idea, you weren't worried about what you were reading at the time influencing you. And we got feudalism. I can't even say it. The dominant social system in medieval Europe in which the nobility held lands from the crown in exchange for military service, and vassals were in turn tenants of the nobles, while the peasants were obliged to live on their lord's land and give them homage, labor, and share for produce, nationality exchange. Probably some prostitution in there too. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Strong title choice. I can't believe I had to do all that to understand what the next one's going to be called. I'm fucking stupid. Jesus.
So do you listen to
Christ.
music from these specific areas and stuff like that? Like when you're writing or anything?
You're not like getting down on mariachi bands.
Do you
while
listen to music while you drive? Or are you just
I used to quite a bit, but anymore I'm pretty much just listening to podcasts. Yeah.
And then to actually, funny note, back to episode 124, I made a mention of that, but you do, in Back to the Dirt, you made like a lot of, I feel like there were a lot of mentions of music throughout that book.
Most of the books
Oddly.
I've written so far, there's always a soundtrack.
Yeah, it's and you
Drive
mentioned,
By Truckers, Scott Byram, different. Yeah, there's just different.
What's crazy, Back to the Dirt's written not in modern time. It's
like
you know.
early 2000s, I think is what you
Yeah.
said, right?
So
Yeah.
like
Late
writing
90s,
a book
early
now in
2000s.
modern time, like you got to be like, what was actually in existence?
What was going
this
on?
time? What song was released? And the culture, what was there? This was
Yeah.
before.
Cell phones,
Yeah.
internet, yeah.
Jeez Louise, I could never write a book. What do you think is your strangest? So we've talked about like you're using documentaries, interviews, all these different tools to like craft a new story. But like, what's the strangest thing you think you've ever used as a reference or a tool to write a book? Did you ever just like travel somewhere maybe to just go see a place? Or what's the weirdest tool that you think you've ever used to write a book, like as a reference? Have you ever done anything like unorthodox, maybe outside the box, like crazy?
Other than just going on ride-alongs, I'd go on ride-alongs with Donnie
Yeah.
just to see, how cops do things. Because
Nice.
like when I was writing Donnybrook and even Crimes, there was just to see what cops actually go through and how the criminals actually act.
Did you, when you do these ride-alongs for those books, did you get to like see the inner workings, not just on the road, but like, I guess like, did you ever get to see like, hey, here's chain of custody for that kind of
I've
stuff,
been
like
to
behind closed doors?
right.
type?
I've
Did
been
you ever get to do
been
any
to
of that
bus.
stuff?
I've been on a bus with him where people get arrested,
Mm-hmm.
take them down to the station, that kind of thing, get them booked in, and you just pick up little nuances that are different from one police station to the next, that kind of
'cause
thing.
you're you go very much into detail in your stories, and it's just wild how you get this knowledge and how you explain it. I'm pleasured to call you my friend. I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm very excited for this new book.
And it's the same thing with like on Donnybrook when I wrote about the crystal meth. I'd actually talked to an actual guy who cooked meth.
Yeah.
And then I had people I ran around with when I was younger that used to deal meth. They would get it in the mail, and their
Yeah.
family sold it. So yeah.
It's pretty prominent, like around here. Not hard to find. somebody
Well,
that's
this
done
was in the
some bad.
'90s. This is when I was
Back
like,
then.
Less popular.
yeah,
then.
because they were getting it from California. It would come through the mail through FedEx.
We didn't have a bunch of meth labs in
No,
the 90s.
that-
No.
No. Basically, the
This
meth
was from the-
capital of the world literally relocates like every
Yeah.
year, every few
It's
years.
from the West Coast is where they were getting it from.
Really?
Yeah.
Wild, dude. Wild. Shit.
He ran around. He was Latino. He ran around with some gangbangers, and that's why his parents always said they moved him here to get him away from all that. But I think they moved here to set up shop because they were getting it in the mail.
I just imagine like a bigger filing cabinet of like, because like you can interview somebody for one book and then reference that conversation in a book you write 4 years down the road, if you still have the files and everything like that.
Are you asking me a question?
I don't know. I was more so stating.
I was waiting too. Like, is there
Well,
a
like,
fucking
do, like,
question
how
here?
do you store
Are we
that?
getting philosophical on the idea here?
I was just thinking about it.
Tom likes to think out loud philosophically.
Context.
He does do
I need
that.
a little context.
Yeah. No, it's do you get into philosophy at all? Do you like Stoicism? Anybody like that? Have you ever been into that?
Not really. I mean, I've seen some things on Instagram, neat little sayings, you know, it's interesting.
What about in your writing though? So like some of your characters, like Miles,
Jocko's about the closest I ever probably get to stoicism.
yeah, that dude is dope. He's like, does your back hurt? Good.
Does but having buddies in these
Or,
areas,
or David Goggins, who's going to carry the fucking boats.
you put like a character analysis together though, like a different folder on each character.
No.
See, I feel like I would have to do that. So, like, if I had, like, you have your protagonist that's, like, driving this story, and then the people that are against him, the antagonist, right? I would have to build these people. Like, I would have to, know who they are.
I'd have a fake ID for each person.
I would almost have to. Like, have a sketch artist come in. I don't know. Maybe my autism's showing, but, like, I'm just saying, like, I would have to, like, know these people. But granted, you know a lot of your characters because you're basing them off people you know.
Well, has that been
Right.
harder with this book?
No.
Basing it off of people that you might not necessarily know?
No, because, I mean, some of the names in the book come from actual cultural, like, mythological people that it deals with, like, Asian history. So it's easy to pull from that and make that into their character because that's what makes their characteristics of the person, and their traits, that kind of thing.
What I wanted to ask about Miles too, we were talking about stoicism and like ethics and morality and stuff like that. Do you take that into account with character building? I guess like, how do I want to say like, do you worry about ethics or the ethical behavior or morality when you're building a person in a story? You know what I mean? Like,
they always have to have a moral compass. There's
not
something.
Necessarily like stoicism, but we started kind of
they're moral, even though it's. Something might be bad within them, but they also have some type of good to kind of balance that. You have to, they can't just be completely fucking evil,
Yeah. Trying to think, did you have a completely evil person in one of your books?
There's got to be that like slightest glimpse of like humanity left in somebody for them to be like relatable, I feel like.
Yeah, you have to have some kind of relatable personality that people pick from or pull that they attach to, more or less.
I'm trying to find Hitler's, and I don't think he had one.
No.
I'm trying to think of like the worst people on earth.
No.
Did they have a like redeeming quality?
Idi Amin? No.
Yeah, no.
No.
That's a rough one. I don't know that you find a redeeming quality in trying to think of another horrible person.
Kublai Khan.
Guy from Jonestown.
Mao.
So, but like you have to have like a general history on like stoicism or whatever. Like the Latino gangs in the book, like they're probably Catholics or have like a Catholicism background. That's bigger
Roman
down
Catholic,
there. And then
predominantly.
the Yakuza, that's in Japan, right? So then like they probably have like a more, I don't know, a Japanese religion.
Are they Taoists?
Bushido.
Bushido. Who is whatever? I don't.
But there's like different cultures that you got to like upkeep and bring through. I just couldn't imagine.
It's a lot to hold on to.
It really is.
Is this story?
When do you think you'll have it done? Not published, but like, do you think it'll be out before the end of the year?
No.
How long
no,
is that?
I could probably have the first book done by maybe the end of summer, maybe. If I
You're thinking of making a series?
Yeah, I was hoping that it's going to be 3 books.
Oh,
3 interconnected
we
books.
did not mention that.
That would be wild if you did one on the cartel, one on the Yakuza, and then the third one on how they all piece together. With
Maybe
the
stop asking so many
American-
questions. Maybe you're. Why don't you shut the fuck up over there? Jeez,
No, I
I'm
had
joking. He's
actually,
he's foreshadowing.
actually, I thought, well, there's even the border agent that deals with, because it deals with AI and CRISPR too. But I had thought about when I was from speaking with my agent, I said, I think I'm just going to write 1,000 pages and we'll just break it up into sections. I mean, that's what I thought about doing.
Do they do
wild.
cliffhangers in books?
That's how I was going to do it.
That'd be wild.
That's how Decker does the Circle series.
But you know that you might sell the first book and maybe it doesn't sell very well. Then you've got 2 other books. So I don't know. We'll see.
I'm trying to think of another. Do you have a favorite? That's a good question. Series novels, novella. I don't know what you call those. They're just series.
But
do you have a favorite series that you've read before that like has those cliffhangers and you couldn't wait for the next one to come out? You know what I mean? That just left you. Is there a good series out there that you've read that you really?
There's
really got into?
an author that I had never read before, and it's really it's not that genre of writing I've never really read before. Joe Abercrombie. Well, he writes medieval, but the reason that pulled me to him was because everybody's like, if you like Game of Thrones, you should read these books.
But he writes in like Old English.
He's different. All I can tell you is I didn't think it would be something I would like, but when I picked it up, I'm like, it's just very violent, and his dialogue is spot on. It's like if Quentin Tarantino were to write medieval. It's very smart, and it's like, where's he going with this? And then he always gets you with a punchline or something towards the end of a section.
He finds a way to rein you in.
But he wrote a series. He's written like several series of books, and I don't forget which series I bought, and I was like, this is actually really fucking good. I mean, not that I thought it was bad, but I mean, he's very well known. I mean, he's like national bestseller. You know, anything he writes is like gold.
Abercrombie. What was his first name?
Joe Abercrombie.
Joe Abercrombie.
I think he's from the United Kingdom. Yeah.
Okay, I can get behind that. Some medieval Dark Age type shit. Some slaughter and damn.
Really, really good.
Cannons
really good.
And guillotines and quartering people. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Jousting.
Jousting is fucking sick, dude.
Some people still do it.
Why don't we do more of it? That should be a fucking Olympic sport.
Bring back the Coliseum.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, jousting should legitimately be an Olympic sport. Why the fuck it's not? I feel like we're failing as a fucking human species.
As a country.
Yeah.
Bring back jousting.
As an entire race on planet Earth, we have failed ourselves.
Yeah, I'm reading The Age of Madness. That's the last trilogy that he wrote.
Sick. Age of Madness. Nice,
yeah.
Dude. I don't know. Are you reading it? Have you read a good series, Tom? Are you a big series guy?
Been busy lately. No.
I can't do a series. I've got to be in on the author. I have to know him.
I think the last series I was interested in was like Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events, where I actually read the books. And that was when I was like reading all the time as a kid. Other than that, now I just read nonfiction. I just read history and like.
The first book is called A Little Hatred. So
A Little Hatred.
Yeah.
Love that. Little Hatred. A little hatred. A lot of violence.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's a good writer. Highly recommended.
Abercrombie. I have to give that guy a peek, man.
You can't. It's kind of hard to forget that name. So
yeah, Abercrombie and Fitch is what's sticking out in my brain.
Yeah.
And he's from U.S. or U.K.?
I think he's from the United Kingdom, I believe. He's from overseas.
You probably have like a nice like work to home balance, low key, from like working a job to then like writing almost being. It's not a hobby because it's a profession.
Right.
But like it's like that therapeutic aspect of like a hobby to you.
Yeah, I used to write in my truck when I was driving to work.
You ever feel like
notes on a note? Jeez. Before you had anything with to really do with your phone, it was I would have a notebook trying to.
But it's nice that like you keep it fun. You don't force yourself to write necessarily. Uh-huh. Like you mentioned last night, like to get the thoughts flowing for the day, you'll like hit the gym, and then if something hits you, you jot it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the time anywhere, really. I mean,
going on what he said about riding and driving, if cops can type on a laptop and drive, you should be allowed to, right?
How's that legal?
Did they go through any special training?
Where's Donnie?
I drove from Evansville to Indianapolis typing a school paper one time.
They have it off on the side. They got that little
so if it's in my
mechanical
seat,
arm
it's okay.
thing, they always
it's like
sit off the side.
Mount, though. Yeah. I mean, they're sitting there.
That's what he's always had.
I don't know.
Or that's what he used to have. He's
tweeting and tumbling. I know they're not reading my license plate. You know what I mean? I know they're not working. No, I'm
porn.
Just joking. Yeah. You porn or fucking Pornhub. No, speaking of films like Pornhub, that reminds me. I want to come back to.
What a great choice of words.
Come as in COME. Just so we're clear, folks, I do want to come back to the possibility of a second film. Shut the fuck down.
I will fucking body slam you, motherfucker.
Slam. I want to come back to the possibility of a second film. Like, is it like 80% possible I would love to see what somebody could do with Back to the Dirt.
It's really just a matter of me and Josh writing a script for it. You know, we wrote
And then
we wrote a TV pilot for Crimes, and I think it probably just offended everybody. But it was such a great fucking
it just
script.
made a lot of people sad and upset.
Well, no, I mean the input I got was great, but nobody wanted to take a bite at it. You know, it just
It's violent.
But the way that we wrote the script, and he's such a good script writer, you know.
And who's this guy again?
Josh Capps. He's a professor down in Louisiana, and the original person we sent it to because we're a big fan of him and got to be good friends with him, Dallas Saunier, who's done a lot of movies I love, but he's kind of not really doing a whole lot of stuff on his own anymore because he's now affiliated with the Daily Wire, so he's doing a lot of their TV stuff that they're doing, and he's made some films with them.
Okay. And
he really liked the script, and he's like, if I was on my own, it'd be different, but,
Right. So is it challenging converting a book to a script? What does that process even look like? Are you just stripping out all dialogue and then like bullet pointing
No,
that
we
dialogue?
kind of take the book and used it because it's got so many characters and different stories. Like with that particular book as a series, you could take all those characters and create that world where you had the detective that's in it, but it's all rural. And like with I don't know,
you're talking about Crimes.
With Crimes, yeah. Donnybrook, I really stuck to more of what the book was about, whereas they bought the script but didn't use the script. So
there's a chance that you and your buddy, say his name again. God, I don't know why.
Josh Capps.
Josh Capps, that's
Yeah.
right, from Louisiana.
Louisiana.
There's a chance that you guys spend all this time on.
We actually wrote the pilot script, a second episode, and a third episode. We were going to write
For Crimes.
Yeah, we were going to write 6 episodes, and then we stopped. I got busy with Back to the Dirt. That's basically what happened.
Yeah. But then, like, there's a chance you could do that for Back to the Dirt, write this whole script out, and then the same thing happens. Like, just
Yeah, it can happen.
somebody buys the script, and then they make the film and don't use the script.
That
or
can
they
happen.
Just don't buy
That
the
can
script.
happen. Because we talked about adapting the old Mechanic. We were going to turn it into a script. We thought about doing that too. So
What if? So you don't have any candidates right now, right? Like, no one is. You don't like go to a film house like IFC and you say, "Hey, I've got one in the chamber."
well, that's
You know what I
the
mean?
film. You've got to find a producer because that's the person that's going to put the money into it, and then that producer ends up putting the money into it, getting backers to make the film, and then a bigger place like IFC or some place would buy it. Like when
Yeah.
they made Donnybrook, it went to the film festival up in Canada, and then it was like you had this many people that made offers, and then that producer goes with. Apparently, he went with IFC. I think he had IFC and Lionsgate and another one. I guess he felt like IFC had the better deal, so that's what he went with.
I'm fascinated by film as I'm getting more into books and out of film, but like I'm genuinely fascinated more so in that. I just think it's like if you can tell a story well, like Tarantino's or like Scorsese. Like there's just something.
But see, they don't need it. They've already got the money
Something
up front.
beautiful about
They already
that.
put their money into it. So
So I'd be excited to see if Back to the Dirt could make it to a motion picture, man. That'd be fucking tight. Or a show
Interesting.
like Sissy would be tight as a show.
Have you read that book?
Halfway.
So then you know about the Hill Clan. See, like we took them. That's the first 3 stories in the book. When it opens up. We turned those into car salesmen on top of the other shit, so we could make them more humanized.
Less
They were basically
monstrous.
car salesmen that were also fronting drugs underneath the car sales, and they get mixed up. They get mixed up within the cartel.
Spicy.
So, yeah, we
Spicy.
it changed a lot. We just used those elements that are in the story to create a similar world,
A
but
framework
to make them more
that's
human.
more likely to.
Yeah.
Is it shit? Like, do you feel? Is it more likely to sell? Does that sound bad if I say it that way? You know what I mean? Like,
No.
better translated to TV.
Yeah.
Your shit's rough. Like your writing is.
Well, we tried to humanize it and make it very. There's a lot of
real.
there's
That's
a lot
the
of
thing.
comical elements to
That's
it.
the thing, though. We were joking earlier. I don't know if I said it on the podcast or pre-recording, but I think isn't there still a serial killer at large in Austin, Texas?
There's a serial killer at large probably at any time.
There's one in Austin where like young women are being strangled. I'm pretty sure. If I'm not mistaken, I might be remembering the wrong town, but I think it's Austin. But it's just like that's life. That's real. That's gritty, and all you're doing is just telling the story as if you were there. You know what I mean? Like as if you are strangling people on a river in some shitty city or whatever. Austin's dope, but it's interesting, and that's what I like so much about it. I've seen that dark side of life, and your shit is fucking dark. It's real, and if you guys are into that and you've not heard of this gentleman, you need to get on his shit because it is real. I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you got, brother?
Just enjoying it.
Just enjoying.
Yes, sir. This experience is dope in general. I mean, if you think
I'm so
about
pumped we were able to come down here, see your vision board, all the books and notes and stuff. Your dog's a sweetheart. Her shoes are adorable.
Well, it's just crazy.
Christ.
Like when you think about an author in general, you're like a book writer, and then like you get to take a peek behind the curtain, like we have this weekend.
I know.
Like there's so much behind it. Like they do more than write the book, but also like you got like a whole separate team for where you want the book to go.
I know, and you're doing so much with it. Like obviously, you've sold the rights to make the film Donnybrook, and then you're doing all this script writing stuff with Crimes in Southern Indiana, and then now with Back to the Dirt. Like you're just
like not only do you have to write the project, but you have to project management the process to get it to market. You know what I mean? Afterwards,
it's fucking wild, man. And your agent is new, right?
Yeah.
We did cover that. And then your publicist is new. You have a new publicist as well.
Yeah, still the same publishing house. And then they get first option on what I'm working on now. And they have the option to pass on.
So you've got a lot of changing stuff happening in the background, but I hope everything's operating smooth as usual. Do you think this book is feeling any different work-wise than the last one you just tore through? Like as far as like the flow of how everything is starting off and going, you think or does it just kind of feel all the same?
It's just normal.
It's not any
just
any
figure
better,
it out
not
as I
any
go
worse.
along. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pumped, man.
I feel good about it. If that means anything, I don't know.
I'm excited that you said serious.
I think it's nice to have that thing that you feel good about all the time. That you've worked on it for X amount of months. You're still feeling good about, still wanting to sit down and write, still wanting to expand on it. Like I think it's awesome.
I'm digging 1,000 pages.
That's a lot of pages, but
Fuck yeah, bro. Let's get it. Let's do 1,000. Let's fucking go. Oh, no, I'm excited, man. I don't know. Do you have any last minute questions, Tom?
No, if you released 1,000-page book, I'd be very concerned for Brian's fingers. It'd be all taped
well, it
up
would
all
be,
the way down.
I was thinking when I was saying 1,000, you're going to cut it in thirds.
Right.
So
He's gonna cut his
you
fingers
only have to
three
read like
times
300, 333 pages the first time, and 330.
Yeah, it'd be easy. What was Back to the Dirt? It wasn't 400.
It's 300. I don't even remember. It was 300
I don't either.
something. And this one's written differently. I mean, it's still the same. I've written it kind of like a screenplay in certain parts too. It's got some different to make the action sequences more identifiable, and movement.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm very, very excited for you, brother. I'm very excited. I think we're hanging out tonight. So party's not over yet. But yeah, just really thankful that you had us down here. I'm extremely thankful to Thad that he let us, invade his space. And I'm very thankful that you showed us your vision board and let us hang out at the house and all that stuff.
Take a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
This is really cool, and I'm going to be very excited to burn through the pages of this book when it comes out.
I'm pretty pumped, dude. I'm very pumped. So just thank you guys. Seriously, thank you so much. We really, really, really appreciate it. And thanks for doing a second episode with us.
Anytime.
Yeah, I always like catching up with you. When we text each other, I always kind of get a little excited. I'm like, what's he got for me?
It's like he talked to the president. He'll text you.
I get excited, bro.
He'll text on a Monday, and Sunday he'll be like, Frank texted me.
Did I tell you Frank got a hold of me? We're texting again. It's not a big deal. Fucking tight. No, but I'm really, really excited for this new venture that you're on. I can't wait.
I didn't get to give a shout out to.
Oh God, yeah, we got shout outs.
I wanted
to Corey.
to ask
Pull
about
up my
what these
text
things are on
messages,
the door.
please. And we got these gentlemen that really, really like your book. Go to Frank Bill.
Yeah, when Back to the Dirt came out, I had a couple of guys that were helping
Bottom two links.
with publicity besides you guys. KG Handcrafted, he had sent me some nice blades. That's just one of them. And then,
that's a beautiful piece too.
Coal Country Customs had sent me a sap.
Mm-hmm.
It's So, if you want to knock the shit out of somebody.
It's filled with, what'd you say it was? Uranium?
It's lead. That's all I know. It's lead.
Solid as fuck.
If you want to poison somebody, just knock the fuck out of them. But,
Give him a little bink.
a little root canal.
Yep.
And then he sent me a nice little journal with his little custom
Oh, that's beautiful.
engraving.
Yeah. Wow, that is awesome.
Handmade leather is such an interesting craft.
But you can check their stuff out on Instagram.
That's, Coal Country
Yeah.
for this fella. And then the other one was what?
KG Handcrafted.
KG Handcrafted.
Yeah. Good
KG
dudes, real good dudes.
Yeah,
Very
and
supportive.
Coal Country is from the UK.
I believe so. He's from overseas.
And
I believe
then
so.
I think the other one is from overseas as well. Beautiful.
Yeah, KG is from up in Canada.
Oh, okay. No, so
Big dog lover, too.
oh, nice, dude.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just thank you to everybody. Like, you're big into sharing stuff on social media. Like, and good on you. And then
Everything
folks,
but my wife.
Folks like them, when they hand you stuff, and then you make a post, like, good on you. And then also for them, when they share a post of your book, like, good on them, dude. Like, social media can be good if we're using it to, like, help one another out. Like, hey, check out my podcast. Hey, check out this new book. Like, hey, all the other toxic echo chamber bullshit is kind of trash. But, like, if you're using social media right, it can be a creative tool. And you're very good at it. So, like, I know you've kind of dipped out.
Well, even these guys.
Yeah, Zulu Foxtrot. Yeah,
I love that.
phenomenal group. They're a great outfit. They make good clothes. But yeah, so if you guys can get away from the echo chamber shit, just help us out. Share this episode. Share Frank Bill's stories. Read his books. They're great, right?
They're great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, phenom.
They're great.
They are great.
World renowned.
That is funny.
Is it the way I said
It's
it?
just
Yeah.
funny.
I'm pumped. Like, I get pumped at, like, what? Fucking, dude, are you going to fucking make fun of how I'm talking? I've been talking for an hour. Oh, my God.
You gotta say it like
Frosted.
Frosted Flakes. They're great.
Yeah, fuck you.
They're great.
All right. Anyways, settle down. No, but really, dude, seriously, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
Your
Thanks
books
for
are
having me.
phenomenal.
Page turners.
Seriously, burning through them. Can't wait for this next one to come out. And share this, please, guys, because, take whatever we can get. So, do you have last minute questions? Corey, do you have any last minute questions?
I just want to thank Frank for all this.
Thank you, Thad. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, everybody that we've hung out. Jennifer, everyone's, I almost said hostility. That's not the right word.
Hospitality.
Hospitality, yep. Everyone's hostility has been very much appreciated. Yeah, so thanks for all the unneeded violence. So we're going to cut this episode. I'm going to get my ass beat in the parking lot. So this has been another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And this has been Frank Bill for a second time. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.